All right, Shalom, y'all, Most High in Christ bless. Happy Sabbath. Another edition of Milk and Honey. I pray everybody's doing well. Tonight's topic is going to be called Remember What Thou Knowest Not. All right, remember what thou knowest not. Um, it's key to keep in mind certain things and what type of walk that we are in and how we're supposed to be conducting ourselves within the confines of the law, the knowledge that we've been gaining, the wisdom, the understanding, putting all these different things together to help mold us into ultimately what the Lord wants us to be. We have examples written down. We're supposed to use them. Use critical thought to time periods and certain things that you see and the situations and how brothers and sisters, I wouldn't say conform themselves, but made themselves still presentable to the Most High, no matter the circumstance and the situations. There's certain key things that have to be picked up and paid attention to, these nuances along the way, for us to make it to where we ultimately want to be, the destination we're all seeking. I think everybody's seeking to get the kingdom, and that's what people are reaching for, versus searching out vain things in this world. Only the Most High knows that. You read in the scriptures, no man can tell another man's heart. But you know, it would behoove you to do the right thing right now, because if you're fooling somebody in this walk now, you know the Most High is going to pull your car when the time comes. So let's go to Hebrews 11 and 1. Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 1. And let's look at this as the basis of how we're supposed to be doing things. Hebrews 11 and verse 1. It says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a good report." All right, this is our foundation for everything. And this is something key, because this is something to keep in mind for everybody in this thing. We're supposed to operate a certain way, okay? You know better, you do better. People say, the saying always goes. We're supposed to subscribe to that and set that example forth in the things that we do, how we talk, how we move. That should be seen on us, all right? Faith is the substance of things hoped for, but is not seen. I remember mentioning this to we was at a camp one time. I remember mentioning this to the brothers I was out there with, about it's befitting to look at the situation now in this generation that we're in this time period, that you need faith to get through this thing. It works perfectly because in the Old Testament, you look at certain situations and you would think always, hey, the Red Sea split. We see chariots. Moses seen the voice coming out of the burning bush. All these different miracles and these signs that were seen back then. And amazingly enough, all you got was a collective of a generation that saw but did not believe. In this time, the Lord's showing us the way that you make it is you have to believe. And we might not have as much evidence as, we read about our foreparents having, but nonetheless, the Lord didn't leave us without examples to hold fast to. Like I remember yesterday when I was wrapping up work for the week, I was heading into what looked like the second coming of Christ. The sky was looking terrible, and from where I was headed, from behind me, looked clear. But what I was heading into looked worse and worse as I got deeper and deeper into it. And it was around, I think, 7 something. So it was still light out. But as I can continue to go down, it started getting darker and darker. So as a place that I approached is, you see it, okay, it had rained here. I look up, it's the first time I've seen it in a while, huge rainbow in the sky, right? Now I say that because two things. You can believe that that's a covenant from the Lord, as the scriptures say, or you can choose to believe scientists that come out and say that's a reflection off the sun. This is what happens when it rains. The Lord told us what that was. Now, that's still a level of showing forth faith if you believe it or not. Okay? It's not that we're going to be left with nothing, but that faith level is not always going to be tied to something that you always know. Like you can just see it. It just is what it is. It's not always going to be that, because a person can argue all day, I never seen God. So how do you know he's real? There's a level of faith that has to be attached to this. But with that understanding and those circumstances, it's not to say that you can't be sure about things, but you have to be open and understanding that everything that you see or you might believe is not always rooted in something factual that cannot be corrected. Now, I'll try to say it this way if that sounds confusing. Not that there's not a God. Of course, we believe that and we believe the scriptures. But we're reading about stories about Jonah. We're reading about stories of the Red Sea splitting. We're reading about these different things. Some people will just fight you and be like, this is just a record and it's good to use for different things in your life. Okay, so be it. I don't believe that. Many of you should not believe that. If you were in this book, you should believe what these words say, because they are the words of God. And we have evidence of it. So the Most High has given us different things. But a level of faith has to be attached to this. That's not always something that can be tangible. You have to believe. You have to believe these words. Verse 6. But without faith it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is. Okay, so there is a level of faith that we all have to attain to. And the only way you're going to make it is if you reach that level that you wholeheartedly believe in the words of this book. That is not to say that you're always right when you're reading something or you're giving the explanation of something. That's not true. We are trying our best to, most of us are trying our best to conform as a sinful person to perfection. That's difficult because this book is absolute truth from one cover to cover, one end to the other. It's perfect, but we ourselves are not. So we have to understand how to work that out within our walk in the progression that we're making towards the kingdom. That has to be kept in mind. So let's go to Micah chapter 6. Just bear with me. Micah chapter 6. In verse 6. And know this too. In order for you to be great, you should be trying to strive for the level of mastery that Christ has set before us. That's what you should be striving for, okay? But in order for you to attain that level or be great in this thing, you have to know that you are not, okay? That's not a conflicting statement. Remember who you are in this truth, but more importantly, remember who you are not, okay? You don't know everything. None of us do. You can't present yourself like you do and move like you do. You have to understand your position. And being humble, humility shouldn't even be a thing, really. Like, it is, because we know it's Most High has given us those characteristics and those examples of his son. But the fascinating thing is, like the scriptures say, why is earth and ashes proud? Like, why would a brother or sister feel like they're impervious to correction? Like they can't be shown. Why would you feel like that? You are earth and ashes. You are literally the bottom, created from the ground, and everything's above us like the Lord. So why would you ever think that? Humility should just be it should be like breathing, because it doesn't make any sense for you to be prideful. You really are nothing. You're only something because the Most High said you are. So just keep that in mind, all right? Micah chapter 6 and verse 6. It says, wherewith shall I come before the Lord and bow myself before the high God? That's a question. Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves of a year old? Verse 7. Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, or with 10,000s of rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? These are all questions, all right? These are all questions. Now, similar to these times, a, a person similar to these times of old is similar to what it is now. A person that in the old times that you read about, like Job, you read about the things that the Most High has given Abraham, is usually is when it's based off possessions. You're looking at different things and you're seeing a person is wealthy by the things that they have. Okay, carnal wealth, the things that they possess, make them wealthy carnally. To a layman, a person that's in the world, that would suffice. That would influence the person to believe that what a brother or sister possesses is who they are. It has some correlation of who they are. Like you would see a rich person and be like, oh, he has 18 houses. He seems to be well traveled. He should know how to speak to people. He should be an intelligent person. But when you meet that person, you're just like, oh, you're nothing like I thought you were. So that's carnally. A person can be influenced like that in the world. The Lord's a different situation. Think about it like this. Uh, I love this dynamic between men and women. Women are it's they're addicted to attention. Like, and this ain't just don't come at me in comments or something like that and being like, oh no, it's not. You're painting women differently. No, I'm not saying a woman that's spiritual would not. She might battle it. Everybody battles something, but she's not going to look like a woman that's in the world that is desiring the attention. Is usually from a man. It's usually from a man, and they it's worse than drugs. They love to be seen. It's the reason why you rarely ever see, it happens, but you rarely see women covered up. You rarely see women with regular, like my shirt. You rarely see that. It's always the deep V-necks. It's always the mini skirts. It's always the leg out. If they took a selfie at 2, they have to take one at 2:15. They have to be seen. It's worse than a drug. And women are addicted to that. And they usually are trusting in that beauty, whatever that they've been birthed into. This isn't something they attained. It's just something from the womb. You might have been a beautiful sister, but at the end of the day, beauty is subjective. So how can you be prideful in something like that? On the opposite side, as you reverse it, like with men become toxic by appointment. Their position of them just being the top dog amongst creation, just being men in general, that position could make their mind really believe that there's something that they are not. I'm the guy that's supposed to be in charge. You see wars like this. People just go and do, in the history books, you see people just go and commit wars because I'm the guy that should be dominant. I should go be able to, I have more money, I have this. I'm going to go over there and take that country and take what I want. Who going to stop me? A lot of men become toxic in that thought process, in that environment around people that they're surrounded by that think the same way that they do. But beauty, again, for women, is subjective. So technically, who can really measure who's beautiful and who's not? Men, you don't, absolute power is not attainable for you because God holds that seat. So the beauty that you've been birthed into is given by God. Somebody can any day walk up to you that you think that you are just the most prettiest woman on the face of the earth. What happens then if somebody just walks up to you and just takes a knife to the side of your face, cut your face up? That beauty's gone. Same thing with a man. And Most High snaps his fingers, his government falls, another person takes his seat. You were so prideful. Remember Antiochus? If y'all haven't read Maccabees and you read about Antiochus, how he thought he was conquering lands, he was doing all these different things. And he thought he was hot S. He thought that. He talked like that. He moved like that. He was bragging all the time. That's how he was. The Most High looked at his watch and was like, oh, your time's up. Time's up for you. I'm going to give you a disease and you're going to die. Then what happens with Antiochus? He got humbled. Seriously got humbled. That's what happened with him. Oh, I was wrong in my life. I shouldn't have been doing this. To the good Jews, to all these different things. And you see, pride is such a fascinating spirit because it can come and go at the snap of a finger. But you have, just like you have in this, like the Lord's explaining, The possessions that a man has, he's going to present themselves to the Lord like that. A person can get confident or cocky in that mindset. An inheritance is not an acquisition. Okay, you didn't go out and grab that by your work or your hard-earned time that you spent. You didn't do that. You was just put in that position. So don't get cocky in the position that you're in. Same with sisters, same with men. Beauty and the position that you've been given, all that stuff is handed from the Lord. It's the same way with this. Verse 7, will the Lord be pleased with the thousands of rams or the 10,000s of rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? Remember, as our foreparents did sacrifices, how can you're using sacrifices to excuse you from sin? But the Most High provided that. So how can you go to the Most High and be like, look at all the animals I have. I can get past this. I can do this. I'm wealthy in this position because of this. No, everything's been handed down from the Lord. It's what doesn't make sense to even have pride. You have to come humble all the time to every situation. So don't get something hospitality. It's like the Most High giving you something. Don't confuse hospitality with an abundance of things. What was given can be taken away. So it's the same thing with this. How is the Most High going to be pleased? Is he going to be pleased? Is he going to give you brownie points for you coming to him over and over again with things that he gave you to be adequate enough to get rid of sin? That's not what the Most High ever wanted. What's going to please the Lord? That's what we have to remember. Verse 8. He hath showed thee, O man, what is good. And what doth the Lord require of thee but to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God? This is what the Most High has told us. This is what we're supposed to do. Be humble. You have to love mercy. Because the beautiful thing about this walk is, as much as you put out, as much as you give to somebody else, is the same way it's going to return to you. It's a beautiful system, the way the Most High set this thing up. Because ultimately, you are always going to be you're your own worst enemy. You're going to be your biggest downfall at the end of the day, based off of how you moved. But this is the position we have to be in. Humble all the time in every situation, looking at certain circumstances and how they're presented to you, to take the humble road and then adjust when you have a better grasp on a particular situation. It's different for the Lord. Verse 9. The Lord's voice crieth unto the city, and the man of wisdom shall see thy name. Hear ye the rod, and who hath appointed it? Let's go to John 3. You keep this in mind. We are not Christ, okay? You are not above reproach. I'm not above reproach. Nobody is. The Lord, when Christ walked, he would be humble enough to receive correction, yet he never did anything wrong. So somebody can argue and be like, well, Christ, how you know Christ would be humble enough to receive it? Well, we know he had that type of spirit, but nobody could correct him because he never did anything wrong. Let's go to John 3. John chapter 3 and verse 25. Then there arose a question between some of John's disciples and the Jews about purifying. And they came unto John and said unto him, Rabbi, he that was with thee beyond Jordan, to whom thou bearest witness, behold, the same baptizeth, and all men come to him. Now you have in this dynamic, of course, because people witnessed John the Baptist and they saw what he did. People believed. Christ came to him, confirming his position. And now Christ is left to do something else. Okay? People are looking at this and being like, people seem to be going with this guy. John's disciples are asking him that. Well, what's going on? Verse 27. John answered and said, a man can receive nothing except it be given from heaven. That's one of them scriptures that's a mouthful that you want to hang on to. This goes right back to again about being prideful. You can't, a man that thinks himself to be something is nothing. You can't ever get confused or high-minded to think that you are above the level of earth and ashes. That's what we are. It's just, it is what it is. That's why I said humility shouldn't even really be a thing. It just is breathing. You should be humble in what you are. But a man can't receive anything unless it be from above. There's nothing you can get. You can't fight for. You can't do all these different things. The Most High has to give that to you. Verse 28. Ye yourselves bear me witness that I said, I am not the Christ, but that I am sent before him. He that hath the bride is the bridegroom. But the friend of the bridegroom, which standeth and heareth him, rejoiceth greatly because of the bridegroom's voice. This my joy therefore is fulfilled. So John knew his position. He knew not to be high-minded. He understands. Person that hears the bridegroom's voice, that's, you're supposed to be happy. Everybody's not hearing that voice. They not. It's the same thing we just read in Micah 6. The wise man is going to hear that. But hear ye the rod. Remember, know that Christ is the rod, all right? Verse 30. He must increase, but I must decrease. He that cometh from above is above all. He that is of the earth is earthly, and speaketh of the earth. He that cometh from heaven is above all. And what he hath seen and heard, that he testifieth, and no man receiveth his testimony. And again, this is even more critical to pay attention to, because just because you have people, and this is what Christ came to do, just because you have people that are keeping the law does not mean that they're a follower of Christ. That doesn't mean that. It just means that some people are good at hiding who they really are. But Christ came to pull out of you what you can hide around other people. Behind carnal people, you can hide that stuff. People not truly seeing your spirit. But when Christ comes to speak it openly, he lays it out. This is the type of person that's a follower of the Most High. It's a person that's going to follow me. He's accepted of me because I'm accepted of the Father. We know what type of person that is. Not back then when they can do different things without they can hide behind their garment, as they will, as people say, as the scriptures say, about hiding behind the law, doing certain things in the laws to make you look like you're righteous. But we know he who is from above is above all. Okay, he can move like this because it is what it is. He was chosen and birthed into that position. Verse 32. No, verse 33. He that hath received his testimony hath set to his seal that God is true. We mentioned this a couple weeks ago about the seal. Verse 33. He that received his testimony hath set to his seal that God is true. For he whom God hath sent speaketh the words of God. For God giveth not the Spirit by measure unto him. Verse 35, the Father loveth the Son and have given all things into his hand. This is something to keep in mind, because people, unfortunately, think that this is talking about them. That's how they move. The Most High didn't give Christ the spirit of measure. He didn't give him pieces of different things. Of course, Christ doesn't know everything the Most High knows, meaning he can't tell when he's coming back, because that's written that Christ didn't even know that time. So we know there's a difference between the Most High and Christ, but nonetheless, the Most High put Christ in that position to give him all this understanding quickly, to give him that type of spirit he had, to go through what the hell he had to go through to save this wicked nation. The Most High has put that in Christ's hands to be able to do that. He is above reproach. Because again, that's not saying that Christ he doesn't have the spirit to take it. We know he has a spirit to take correction. We've seen it. We know that he has those attributes, but nobody can correct him because he's not doing wrong. That's his position. We're not him. Verse 36, he that believeth on the Son have everlasting life, and he that believeth not the Son shall see life, but the wrath of God abideth on him. So there's no brother in the truth or sister in the truth that can be like, hey, the wrath of God is going to be on you because you ain't followed me. You not him. You not Christ. So you are just a creation like Christ, but not put in that position. And lo and behold, Christ has been birthed into that position, but somehow didn't let ego and pride overtake him. Somehow he remained humble with this level of knowledge and this level of understanding a plethora of things. He didn't get prideful like many other brothers and sisters do. So it's interesting as you pay attention to this dynamic, because if Christ has shown us how to do it, but the men and women that are in this truth operate at times like they are in that seat, that God gave them that seat. You can't say that to Christ because he's not lacking information. We are. We're moving by faith, okay? We're all moving by faith. Nobody can come to, people say it, but nobody can come to you and be like, I have ultimate. I've seen a brother say that. I have all the breakdowns, every single one of them. Like, this is comical. It's worse for people that just believe it. I mean, a person can say whatever they want at the end of the day. The Most High won't judge it, every idle word. But the scriptures tell you don't make yourself an underling of a fool. So you can't be in that position to be following this person that talks like that. That's an indication to really get away from them. So we all have to be humble in the situations that we are in. Let's go back to Hebrews in chapter 3. Just like I was using the example of the men and the women. Women with the beauty, men with their position, you really trust that, and you have become an enemy to your own self to believe the things that you have been given to be actually attributed to you because of off of the hard work or something that you did. We have to remain humble on all these different things. Watch this. Hebrews chapter 3 and verse 1. Wherefore, holy brethren, partakers of the heavenly calling, consider the apostle and high priest of our profession, Christ Jesus. Verse 2. Who was faithful to him that appointed him, as also Moses was faithful in all his house. I ask a question after this. Look at how this is being painted and the level you have to be at. Out of all the Israelites that have been created in creation, for the Most High to decide to put you in a particular time frame, appoint you to a particular position, put you in a tribe that was selected to do the sacrifices and giving forth of the law, the tribe of Levi for Moses. All these different things that the Most High has bestowed upon Moses. Look at how he's written. A great man he had to be for these things to be written of him. And the Most High select your name out of an infinite number of the sands of the sea of Israel. Moses was chosen in that position. Verse 3. For this man was counted worthy of more glory than Moses, talking about Christ, inasmuch as he who hath builded the house hath more honor than the house. For every house is builded by some man, but he that built all things is God. And Moses verily was faithful in all his house, as a servant for a testimony of those things which were to be spoken after. So the honor it is for the Lord to put Moses in that position, to be handpicked. You're going to lead the people out of here. I'm turning the reins over to you. I'm going to let you deal with my son. He's going to teach you these different things. You're going to be bestowed with this type of information and this glory to come up to the mount to sit one-on-one with the Lord. How high level that is for Moses to be picked, to be put in that position. Now, this is the question I wanted to ask. Let's say every position in all Israel is filled in the kingdom. The 144 selected. Let's put it that way. Let's just say the 144 selected, the 12 apostles, 24 elders, all that selected, right? There's one position left. And it came down to you and Moses. It's the last two. It's like somebody picking in basketball. The last two are left is one position to be filled. Every brother and sister out there that watches this, It's for you to answer the question within yourself. Do you think that you would fare well against one slot left and you and Moses to be chosen? Do you think you would get that seat? I ask that because many brothers and sisters move and think in their head like that. Maybe not, they might not answer that question. If this, they might not answer the question with the answer that you think that they would respond with. They might look at it differently and be like, take a step back and be like, I'm not. I think I might fall short to Moses. But they don't move like that. Regardless of if I remove the question, people, they walk their day to day life like they should be in Hebrews 3:1 written like this, like their record should be recorded. That's how people move. Let's go to Deuteronomy 33. I pulled that for a reason. Deuteronomy 32. Deuteronomy 32. Verse 44. Verse 44. Deuteronomy 32, verse 44. And Moses came and spake all the words of this song in the ears of the people, he and Hoshea the son of Nun. And Moses made an end of speaking all these words to all Israel. And he said unto them, set your hearts unto all the words which I testify among you this day, which ye shall command your children to observe to do all the words of this law. For it is not a vain thing for you, because it is your life. And through this thing ye shall prolong your days in the land, whither ye go over Jordan to possess it. I'm going to read verse 47 again. For it is not a vain thing for you, because it is your life. This is how important this is. This is your life. The same way Moses presented these laws to the people, the same way they fell, because they didn't want to attain to this. The same things they saw, the same level of faith you thought they might have because they see it, they didn't have it. They fell 40 years in the wilderness. Generations had to die. But you can't take this thing lightly. The law itself, coupled with the spirit with it, because now you understand, we have an entire book. We understand what Christ was trying to do and showing us him through the law, how he moved with the law attached to him, and that level of mercy that you're supposed to love, judging rightly, doing all these different things, a level of humility, giving up your life to die for another brother or sister. All those things are coupled with the law that the Most High has been trying to show us from the very beginning. This is your life. This is not something vain. So it's smart for us to pay attention how we're supposed to fulfill this, not to be prideful in the things that we know and the positions we might be in, or how long you've been in the truth. That makes no difference, because it was given to you. It wasn't acquired. The Most High can take it easily at any day of the week, any time of the day, whenever he wanted to. If you want to show yourself to be or you prove yourself to be unworthy of that position and that calling, it's nothing for the Most High to take it. But remember, we're reading about a man that was handpicked to deliver this. He was chosen out of all the people. Even Aaron was the high priest, but the Lord decided to take Moses and show him these different things. He chose him. A great man. Verse 48. And the Lord spake unto Moses that self same day, saying, get thee up into this mountain, Abiram, unto Mount Nebo, which is in the land of Moab, that is over against Jericho. And behold, the land of Canaan, which I give unto the children of Israel for a possession. And die in the mount whither thou goest up, and be gathered unto thy people, as Aaron thy brother died in Mount Hor, and was gathered unto his people. Because ye trespassed against me among the children of Israel at the waters of Meribah Kadesh, in the wilderness of Zin, because ye sanctified me not in the midst of the children of Israel, yet thou shalt see the land before thee, but thou shalt not go thither unto the land which I give the children of Israel. Now, back to the question. Do you feel like you're adequate enough to replace Moses and put yourself there? Do you think some people might be prideful enough to actually walk around believing that. But as great as Moses was, is the the simple slip of the tongue and the things that Moses at that time when he was um what's the word? Moses was provoked by the Israelites and their madness. Same thing now. Moses was told to go to the mount and to die. He could see the land, but he couldn't go in. That's not to say that that's going to have a bearing on Moses having eternal life or not. It's just to make the point. If the Most High did that with Moses, and you, more than likely, all of us are falling short of the position and the high regard that Moses was shown. What makes you think that you are so beyond reproach if somebody shows you something or somebody gives you a different understanding or tries to show you a different understanding of something? Because at the end of the day, if we are all moving based off of faith, then we have to understand how to carry ourselves in many situations and dynamics. The Most High has put us in all these situations for a reason. We're supposed to understand how to grow, and through the turmoil and the adversity, we are shaped into better people. We're supposed to be. But that the way that a person operates like that is solely based on what type of spirit they're carrying. And Moses, as high level as Moses was, the Lord told him that since you didn't hold me in regard in that time, the other generation is gonna go into that land, but you're not going to. You think you would have fared well more? You think you would have fared better than Moses in that situation? You think you would have taken Moses out of here and put him in that situation? Why would Israel in general, brothers and sisters, ever get to a point where they feel so comfortable with letting things come out of their mouth? We're getting such an attitude when certain brothers and sisters are trying to show them something, they're trying to do something. Listen, everything we've been taught, I don't care where you are watching this, everything where you've been taught ain't right. It is what it is. We understand certain dynamics of holding fast to what you've been taught. But obviously, the level of understanding has to kick in who you taught by and what were you taught. Because a person can always take and be like, listen, I'm holding fast to what I was taught. Okay, cool. I've been in a situation where I've been taught something that was just, you would think I was in the world, some of the things I was taught. And I'm sure it's the same for certain brothers and sisters, but it takes a level of humility to admit that and not put men on a pedestal because you have some type of reverence for something that somebody taught you, but you're now being shown something in the scriptures that are adverse to what you believe. That's not to say that don't teach with confidence. That's not to say that. Don't get that confused. Anybody that comes outside of this written, you blast them. This scripture is supposed to stand firm. The scriptures can't be broken. But don't be overconfident and toxic to the point where somebody tries to show you something, you get all upset. Oh, this crazy. He going off. He doing this. He doing that. How you know? You know that you don't have absolute knowledge. The Lord ain't have your name in John 3 and say, I didn't to this brother Zedekiah, to this brother Malachi, whoever it may be. He ain't ever say I didn't give you the spirit of measure unto you. He gave it to Christ. Christ can be above reproach. He ain't do nothing wrong. We are not him. So a level of humility has to be attached to every situation that you were in. Every situation. You don't know if that's that brother's season to get corrected, or you don't know if it's for your season for you to be corrected. You don't know. But approach that situation with humility. Let's go back to let's go to 1 Timothy. 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 5. Now the end of the commandment is charity, out of a pure heart, and of a good conscience, and of faith unfeigned, from which some having swerved have turned aside unto vain jangling, desiring to be teachers of the law, understanding neither what they say, nor whereof they affirm. And this is This is no more evident than it can be in the person bringing this forth, which is Paul. Verse 8. But we know that the law is good if a man use it lawfully, knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man, but for the lawless and disobedient, for the ungodly and for sinners, for unholy and profane, for murderers of fathers and mothers, murderers of mothers, for manslayers, for whoremongers, for them that defile themselves with mankind, for men stealers, for liars, for perjured persons, and if there be any other thing that is contrary to sound doctrine. Hold on one second. It popped in my head. I don't know if this is it or not. Nah, that's not it. Yeah, Sirach chapter 8 and verse 5. Sirach chapter 8 and verse 5. Just want to touch on this before we go back to 1 Timothy. It says, reproach not a man that turneth from sin, but remember that we are all worthy of punishment. Now, this is something important to keep in mind, because as you're rolling through 1 Timothy, you're seeing something painted in a particular way based on the subject that is bringing this out. And he's a perfect example. Remember, Paul's a chosen vessel. The Lord said that. He's chosen. We all have to remember, let's go back to 1 Timothy. We all have to remember the things that you're reading that Paul is talking about, that the law is made for an unlawful man, an ungodly man. Is that you? Is that me? Is that the brother you building with? It's all of us. It's all of us. Because all of us were in that position at one time. You pick and choose to sin, whatever it may be. People might have been in homosexuality. People might have been in men being whoremongers, women fornicators, somebody stealing, somebody on drugs, whatever it may be. The law was made for us. You remember, the Lord says at the end of the day, all of our righteousness together is filthy rags. What do you make of that? What do you make of that? Psalms 39. All right, let me hit this too. Psalms chapter 39. Psalms chapter 39, verse 4. It says, Lord, make me to know mine end, and the measure of my days, what it is, that I may know how frail I am. Behold, thou hast made my days as an handbreadth, and mine age is as nothing before thee. Verily, every man at his best state is altogether vanity. Again, why is earth and ashes proud? What would be the point of you feeling like you've gotten to a level where it's just like, I'm beyond reproach? It's above me to take the time to figure out if a brother or sister is doing something wrong, and they're showing me that. It's above me to do that, because what I know is accurate. I know it is. Can't do. Listen, short of you saying something like, God's not real, Christ never existed, I don't have to keep commandments, I'm not entertaining none of that either. But I mean, you might have something else you can throw out there. But short of that, we should be open to have a dialogue about anything, because the scriptures are going to stand. One way or the other, they're going to stand. They can't be broken. That's why I said it's a heck of a process to fit sinners and people that are blemished inside of perfection. It's tough. The book is perfect. But at the end of the day, how must a man learn without a teacher, as the scriptures say? But remember, we ultimately, that teacher is Christ. But you have other men teaching other brothers. I'm doing a class now. Does that mean I'm absolutely right about everything? Of course not. Because at the end of the day, I'm fallible. Some other brother you learn from is fallible. He got problems. It's an ingrained issue with learning from men. It's just true. Because if it wasn't, then that means that there's someone on the earth that got absolute knowledge, and Christ wouldn't have to reteach us anything, because when the time comes, he's gonna, whatever man that is set forth to give the information, he's gonna be perfect in his understanding. He's gonna take Christ's position. That's not real. That's not real. Christ has a position that he was put into, and he's gonna fulfill that role. Nobody's gonna take his seat. So you have to have a grain of salt with everything that somebody says. Fact check that thing through this. And it's one of the biggest issues always, is that brothers and sisters are not reading. That's one of the biggest problems. That's one of the biggest problems. Let's go back to 1 Timothy. That's a mouthful. A man at his greatest state is vanity. 1 Timothy chapter 1 in verse 10. For whoremongers, for them that defile themselves with mankind, for men stealers, for liars, for perjured persons, and if there be any other thing that is contrary to sound doctrine, according to the glorious gospel of the blessed God, which was committed to my trust. Committed to my trust. We was entrusted with this. So the greater you are, the more humble you have to be. The level of knowledge that's been shown to you or given to you, you gotta have an understanding on how to handle that. And not, the scriptures tell you, listen, knowledge puffs up. That's not it's like evil communications corrupt good manners. Somebody be like, well, I can hang around somebody with evil communication, I'm not going to be corrupt. It doesn't say it might. It says evil communications corrupt good manners. That's a fact. You hang around them long enough, it's going to happen. I've seen it. Same thing with this. This was committed to our trust. You have to have a level of, you have to have the characteristics and the fruits of the Spirit to be able to administer this truth and understand when to push, when to pull back, when to have an open ear, when to rebuke, doing all these different things. All those things have to be exercised at all different points of the day, and any time in a situation throughout an hour conversation or a 20-minute conversation. You got to understand how to use this, how to hold back this. It takes time. But Paul's explaining himself in the situation that he's in because he's the perfect embodiment of what Christ was trying to do ultimately. Verse 12. And I thank Christ Jesus our Lord, who hath enabled me, for that he counted me faithful, putting me into the ministry, who was before a blasphemer and a persecutor and injurious, but I obtained mercy because I did it ignorantly in unbelief. Now, remember, this is why I said it's not necessarily saying that you teach without confidence. I'm not saying that at all. You can't be confident to the point of pride, I guess. Toxic confidence to where somebody's showing you something to the contrary of what you've been taught or what you believe. And instead of being honest with yourself, you can't even correct it. Like you can't even be like, I can't openly admit and be honest and being like, it's not that you really got me, because these ain't my scriptures. But this is all supposed to be for the benefit of the nation, to get better at what you're doing, because none of us are perfect in this. But Paul is a person that really believed what he was doing. He believed it so much to the point where he was consenting unto Stephan's death. That should give everybody a level of pause, or at least a moment of reflection on how we do things and how we move in certain instances, because Paul really believed it. Yet the Lord stepped in and was like, you actually are working in opposition to what I'm trying to do. Now, how could that be? If I'm teaching the law and I'm doing all these different things fervently, and then the Lord looks at you and we're like, you're going opposite of what I'm telling you to do. That should be pause for all of us. But Paul's a chosen vessel. Look at who the Most High chose to carry out these different things. They just like us. Screwed up, imperfect, got blemishes everywhere. Yet and still the Most High handpicked these brothers and sisters in instances, to carry out what he wanted them to carry out. To be chosen to handle perfection in an imperfect person. The Most High has given them these abilities. But you use these as examples for us to grow and to learn, Listen, you are not above reproach. Nobody is. No man, woman, child walking this earth is above reproach because correction is the way of life. That doesn't say sometimes it is. It is the way of life, meaning some things that you have been taught or some things that you think to be correct are going to be shown to be wrong in the day that be the Most High's will that we get there in the kingdom. I mean, I don't understand somebody could even argue with that. You can't, because we know the scriptures tell you no man has all this understanding. It's the Most High didn't create us like that. This is a training ground for us to understand how we operate with what we've been given. You've been given 10% of the wisdom. I've been given 20. This person's been given 80. This person been given this. Nobody has 100%. However you want to measure it up. But Christ is different than us. You hear him. Hear him. He can make that statement. Though Christ wouldn't do it because we know he's a humble brother. So this is the mentality you're supposed to have for all things that we're doing. Everything that we're doing. Let's go to Matthew 17. Matthew 17. Uh, 18. Yeah, 18. Matthew 17 and 18. And Jesus rebuked the devil, and he departed out of him, and the child was cured from that very hour. Then came the disciples to Jesus apart and said, Why could not we cast him out? And Jesus said unto them, Because of your unbelief. For verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, Remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. Now, let's pair that. Jump back a couple chapters. Let's put these together. Matthew 13 and 13 and 31. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is like to a grain of mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field, which indeed is the least of all seeds. But when it is grown, it is the greatest among herbs, and becometh a tree, so that the birds of the air come and lodge in the branches thereof. So let's pair these together. The way that this is written is to help us understand, like we started off in Hebrews. This is about faith. What we've been given is potential. It's what we've all been given. Okay? We've all been we've been birthed into this nation. And you've been allotted a level of potential that you can tap into. Does everybody fulfill that potential? No. Some people say that it's the worst thing ever is untapped potential. But nonetheless, this is what this says. You are a grain of a mustard seed. You're the tiniest of seeds, okay? The increase has to come from above. Nonetheless, you are that tiny seed. And even the seed was created. But you're the smallest of the seeds. If nobody leaves it, nobody does anything to it, you're going to remain in that position. You are that tiny seed that probably is going to be overlooked and nobody care about because you're the smallest of things. But once the Most High gives that increase, that tiny thing can grow into astronomical proportions. And that's your potential being fulfilled. Potential is a possibility. It's not certainty. So this is what all of us are into. Everybody has a piece of potential that you can possibly fulfill. But we know that all those things have to be handed down from the Lord at the end of the day. It's not something that you can be prideful over once again, because you can quickly forget what you started out as. You have been already shown over time to be wrong in certain things. You've made corrections along the way. What makes you think that you arrived at the point now where you can't be corrected again? You can't be shown something, or what you've been taught is incorrect on how you learned it. Again, you're learning from men, and man in his greatest state is vanity. Let's go to Sirach 3 real quick. We're almost done. Sirach chapter 3. Sirach chapter 3, verse 18. 17. My son, go on with thy business in meekness. So shalt thou be beloved of him that is approved. The greater thou art, the more humble thyself, and thou shalt find favor before the Lord. Many are in high place and of renown, but mysteries are revealed unto the meek. Now, this will be the question. If you were meek and you've received something, are you going to maintain that level of meekness, or are you going to seek to be men of renown now? Men of renown is not a bad thing. You see it. It's just, well known. It's not a bad thing. Christ is well known. But you also see in Numbers 16 where you have men of renown coming against Moses and Aaron, talking about we're in the tribe of Levi too. We should be able to do what you're doing. You see it work both ways. But a men of renown that are meek would still be. You can still couple those together. You can be shown things, but there's a separation here. So if you look at somebody with a reputation of being, popular or well known or whatever it may be, some type of, level of, I don't want to say pride, but a level, a reputation that people know, like his people say all the times, his reputation precedes him. You can be that person, but the Lord says mysteries are revealed to the meek. So the meek's going to inherit the earth at the end of the day. So you have to understand to remain meek. Once you've been given something, understand. Remember, hospitality is not abundance. It's not. You've been given something. It's like being a bum. Somebody gives you a place to stay. 2 weeks later, you're prideful and moving around like you own the house. This was given. It can be taken away. So it's the same thing with us. You've been given all these different things, but know that a man can be corrected at any instance, because none of us have absolute truth. We're moving by faith. We're trying to get ourselves together out of a world that is complete madness and puts us through the gauntlet every single day. We need each other for these different things. But Israel, I know it's of the Most High how these things are done. But Israel, this nation be madness, man. But it's on the individual to be able to make it and just carry the things that the Most High has told him to carry. It can't be a mindset of being like, it's on me to fix the entire nation. Technically, a piece of it, because you are your nation. If everybody corrected themselves, we'd be out of here. We know that's not the case, though. Job 38. Job chapter 38, verse 1. It says, Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, Who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? And you see this. This is the earth in general, 1,000 times over. From corner to corner, people talk about they got knowledge. People talk about they got wisdom. They understand this. I've understood this. The Lord summed it up. We know that wisdom is Christ. All that comes from him. Tells you in Sirach, I think it's in 19, where your knowledge of wickedness, that's not wisdom. That's not something that should be seeked after. You can learn a lot of different things about Islam. You can learn a lot of different things about Christianity. You can be the most well-versed person in the Catholic or the Catholic religion. You're still a spiritual fool, because none of that stuff has no weight. All that stuff idol worship, and it doesn't mean anything. The Lord's asking, who is it that's darkening counsel? Who is it that's darkening counsel by words without knowledge? Who does that? I ain't gonna read this whole thing. Though you can. Let's jump over to verse. So we'll go to verse 12. Hast thou commanded the morning since thy days, and caused the dayspring to know his place, that it might take hold of the ends of the earth, that the wicked might be shaken out of it. It is turned as clay to the seal, and they stand as a garment. And from the wicked their light is withholden, and the high arm shall be broken. This whole chapter and the chapter after in 39 and 40, I think. Yeah. From here up until 42. Is it 42? Yeah. It's 42. Job was reconciled to escape the turmoil he was in. But you read from 38 to 41 about the Lord painting this picture of like, how much do you really know? Like, even though you've been shown different things and you understand certain things in certain instances, the level of pride should never reach you like that. Because when the Most High steps on the scene, let's put your knowledge against mine. Let's see how much you really know. He ain't talking about, oh, I can break down water baptism. I can break down, I don't know. I can break down Gentiles, whatever it may be. The Lord's just like that. Listen, you dealing with me now. So I'm going to ask you questions since you're so high up and you have so much understanding and you're so above reproach and you want to question me. I'm going to ask you questions and let's see if you can answer them. Remember that happened with Ezra and Uriel. Ezra couldn't answer. He asked the question, who can answer that? Which is an adequate response. But you can't go so far in the world to speak and move like you're ready for that level. You're ready to go up to the major leagues to deal with that type of stuff. You're not. None of us are. But you have to keep that in mind in all the things that you're doing. So the Most High is asking these questions. Who can answer these? Who can control the day spring? Who can command the sea? Who can tell the water to stop at this point? Who can tell the sun to rise up in the east? We look at that as just, this is just the functions of life. No, it's not. There's a higher power controlling all these different things. And if that's the case, then the question to you is, since you know everything, give me your first. That's why I ask brothers, we asked this over the years on the street. You know all this stuff, right? You know the comedic science, you know all these different things. Do me a favor. Give me the first, just write down the first 3 steps of how to create a sun. Just 1, 2, and 3. So I can start my process. I want to do it. And then they look at you like you're crazy. Well, you put yourself on that level. So of course you're going to get rebuked like that. But this is something we have to avoid with that level of arrogance, to think that you can't be shown something or corrected on something that you've been taught. Verse 16. Hast thou entered into the springs of the sea, or hast thou walked in the search of the depth? Have the gates of death been opened unto thee, or hast thou seen the doors of the shadow of death? I mean, Lord just bringing you through this maze. You're just looking at him like, scriptures tell you in Job, I think it's in Job 9, you can't answer 1 of 1,000 with the Lord. Like, verse 18. This is the point. Hast thou perceived the breadth of the earth? Declare, if thou knowest all. And sometimes people need to be humbled like that. Sometimes people need to be rebuked like that, with something so high level where it throws them for a loop and they don't know what to respond like. But people need to be put in that position to be humble because they've gone too far. Like I mentioned, Antiochus, his thought process was, I deal with the Jews how I want. I'll turn that land into Jerusalem and it's whatever I want it to turn it into. Then the Lord steps on the scene and the pride just instantly, it's amazing, it's gone. That's why I said it's fascinating when you watch pride. Like, you'll see somebody in a movie or something. I never seen this in person, but you'll see this in a movie. Somebody has the upper hand. They're so confident. They're walking around him with the gun. They got the gun faced at him. They're telling him what they're going to do. Look how scared you are, all these different things. And all of a sudden the gun jams. Then the person that had the gun can't fight. The person that had the gun pointed at them was bigger than them anyway. All of a sudden, pride just instantly. And then they have that pride's gone. Well, they have no shame when the person that they was pointing the gun at has the upper hand. And now they're just like, listen, please don't kill me. Just this is the level that the Most High can put you in the crosshairs of. If you trying to be act like you are, you act like you're more than what you are. You are nothing but earth and ashes at the end of the day. I'm learning like you're learning, and you'll see. This is you've seen the class picture. You have this picture. The children have their hands up. It's the picture was to remember the fact that we're all students at the end of the day. We're all students. There is no 10,000 hour rule to the truth. You're not the expert in this, bro. Sister, nobody. I'm not. We all can be corrected, and you have to be humble enough to receive that at the end of the day. It's going to be better for you anyway. We're all students at the end of the day. You are a career student of Christ. It's not saying that, you're not supposed to go out there and teach and, be lackadaisical in the works you're putting out or doing nothing for the Most High. But you have to remember we're all still learning, and there's so much more to go. So don't let something like a level of pride or a position or time or this brother can't know more than me, so this it's ridiculous at the end of the day. Let the scriptures stand. The scriptures cannot be broken. It is as it is written. So don't get that twisted. Me saying this and being like, oh, so you shouldn't be confident. And I'm not what I'm saying. It's written that we're going to have to be taught again. So be humble to receive the correction if somebody's showing you something. But once again, if you've seen and you approach the situation with a level of humility and you're now seeing that type of spirit that's on that person, rebuke them. Rebuke the mess out of them. That's what you do. All right. Leviticus. Leviticus 20 and 24. But I have said unto you, ye shall inherit their land, and I will give it unto you to possess it, a land that floweth with milk and honey. I am the Lord your God, which have separated you from other people. All praises to the Most High. Lord, is where we get to see the fulfillment of that scripture when the time comes. But, the only people that's going to make it in that is got a particular type of spirit with them. And it's use this as a training situation to get all the kinks out right now. Don't wait till the time comes when it's too late and you acting like you did this and the Lord says, I don't know you. Nobody wants to hear that. But all praises to the Most High. I pray that this help some brothers and sisters. Just look at how you're walking. That's all. Take more of a fine-tooth comb to certain things that you're doing. And if you feel like you've reached a point where you don't need to, I don't see how that's possible, but at least it might not be evident to you right now. Send a prayer to the Most High and make him show you things that you might be doing wrong or things that need improvement at the end of the day. So all praise to the Most High, y'all. Lord's will next week. Happy Sabbath. Enjoy your rest. Keep sending up prayers for brothers and sisters. Everybody needs it. All right. Shalom, y'all. Most High in Christ blessed.